Hello everybody, this is yet another edition of SC2Edu. Today we are bringing you a game of ZVP. We have iCanada up here in the top left on Scrap Station, and spawning in the bottom as the blue player is DoOneFin. One being Leet Speak there, and his name is Dolphin. He's a real life friend of mine. He sent us this replay because he's a little bit frustrated. He's having a hard time. I believe this is a Silver League matchup. So we're just going to go through this one and just kind of try and lend whatever advice we can to all you Zerg and Protoss players at the same time.
Something immediately pointing out to me, if you're a Protoss player, when facing a Zerg, always block your ramp. No exceptions. Like, basically, if he got 6 pooled right now and they got a little pulled 3 drones somehow, it looks like he blocked the natural, blocked the expansion, which on this map is a good idea because most likely players will probably go for a fast hatch just because of look how long the map is. You got to run all the way over here to get to the opponent's base. But actually, something me and Delmage were talking about just before we cast this game was that we know that this is a very hard game to play. StarCraft 2 is not easy, and I know a lot of players get frustrated over very simple things, and also people forget that the Blizzard matchmaking rating system sets you up for a 50% win rate. You're only supposed to be winning 50% until your skill level increases enough until where you get promoted, and then you just get totally ball fucked the next totally fucked once you get promoted because all of a sudden you're in a higher league. So for everyone who's really frustrated about StarCraft out there, don't worry. It's not an easy game. And something we like to talk about on this channel is playing to the map. And if you're doing a 2-gate Zealot, and Zealots have got to be the slowest unit in the game at a whopping 2.25 speed. You're doing a 2-gate push on Scrap Station while rushing, and he's already got one Zealot streaming over here. You're not really going to accomplish that much with slow units like these Zealots. I mean, he's going to intercept these Zerglings, it looks like. But if they're, or they said, no, he should fight these Zerglings. Yeah, 2 Zealots will beat 4 Zerglings any day of the week. So he's actually in his base right now and looking to do a little damage here while he should be getting his his Warp Gate research as soon as possible and throwing down an extra pylon for some reason instead. That should probably be a Warp Gate.
Yeah, so more Warp Gates. He's got this early pressure going, which I'm actually liking, even though he forced a canceled hatch, which is a huge play. Now we have a one base Zerg now, and he's putting down spines. He's wasting minerals on spines. He's not making drones. He's getting the Roach Warren, which is the exact right move in this situation. Roaches counter Zealots very easily, especially with the speed upgrade. So Dolphin here should be taking these Zealots home. Instead, he's just streaming more and more over. It looks like he's going to try and set up a contain here. He does finally have Warp Gate tech on the way. The biggest thing I would do is, if you're going to try and continue with this contain, which you probably shouldn't, you should go home and try and maybe tech up a little bit. A 1-base Zerg is at an obvious disadvantage, so I would have gone home and teched up. But if you're going to continue with this contain, he should be bringing a probe over and getting pylons set up. He had the 1 pylon there to block the natural. That was a good play. The pylon went down to some Zerglings. It's going to happen. Generally, if you're going to be going for some sort of 4-gate, you don't build the pylon right away. You don't want to let the opponent know what you're up to. But it looks like he's going to send these Zealots in. He's going to get a lot of Zergling kills out of this. He sees the spines. He backs off. That's a good play, especially with these roaches just popping out. But yeah, if he's really going for this, if he's going for this more or less all-in push kind of strategy, he needs to get a pylon up over there, especially with Warp Gate wrapping up right about now.
Now, a lot of players like to try to force a win, especially when they get into a situation like this. If you force a Zerg, oh man, all those roaches just spawn. He needs to get out of there right away. But now see the roaches with the range again. Oh, he's trying to fight this. The huge mistake. This is probably, I'm going to say this is probably going to cost him the game. Or maybe not. He's getting out there. Now he's bringing the probe over. Setting up 2, but now he just needs to get out of here. If you force a Zerg player onto 1 base this early, look how many he's building 5 roaches right now. He's ready to build all these roaches. The Zerglings he's lost, the spine crawlers he's lost his drones. And now he has four units. That's it.
Go to the base.
There's he has some random cannons set up. There's no need for cannons. He should instead he's trying to push for this. He really wants this early win, but there's no need to. If he backed off, now he's gonna lose 2 free pylons too. Oh my god, he just needs to get home. Like, take these units home.
So we saw those cannons go up. I'm guessing the idea behind this is either A, Mutalisk Harass, you're paranoid about that, or B, a Nidus drop. Mutalisk cannot happen on one base, at least effectively. You can try and build them while you have this Roach defense. He could have maybe, he could plop down the Spire, wait, 5 years for those, like, 3 Mutalisks to pop out. But all you have 4 Warp Gates, just warp in 4 Stalkers at home and you're fine. So a Mutalisk Harass on one base isn't going to happen, and the Nidus drop isn't going to well, I mean, it could happen, but it's pretty rare. The Zerg's going, as soon as he gets you out of here, he's going to try and go for a 2 base. He's not going to leave his base open and try and base trade you when all you have to do is take a probe down to the gold and plop down a Nexus or something. So, I mean, Dolphin's continuing to try and push this. He's getting his upgrades, which is a good idea, but he's got 3 cannons in his base now. That's a huge waste of minerals. That could have been 4 more Stalkers warping in on the pressure. But we have, once again, 6 more Roaches coming out, and now we have Roach speed, and the creep's been spreading more and more out of the base. Roaches with speed on creep are going to beat, especially Stalkers. Roaches beat Stalkers anyway, so this isn't looking good for Dolphin right now.
Now, a lot of players, when they get an advantage, the best way to push an advantage in a game of StarCraft is to get the economy advantage. You forced a Zerg player onto one base. Look at the unit travel distance on this map. Unless they break through the rocks, but even then they have to spend the time to take down 2 sets of rocks. You can easily expand off of this. Grab your robotics bay, especially if you see he only has Roaches. Start working towards Immortals, and then eventually Colossi. Immortals destroy Roaches in low numbers. Our Zerg player has been on one. He is actually going for a Nidus network, trying to get out of his base. He needs to stop building pylons down here, though. He's eventually going to lose these if he doesn't win. And also, now he's building a few more probes, but all these cannons could have been probes. I mean, and also, if he didn't try to set up this contain, he wouldn't have to worry about a Nidus network, because all of his units would have been in his base defending. And look, to get to the natural, you have to run through here or break down these rocks, and you can see that easily coming to defend your natural.
Yeah, so as you can see, the Zerg player finally pushing out here. A couple late sentries, but they're not going to do anything. And these Zealots aren't going to do anything, because all he has to do is run the Zerglings away and let the Roaches handle it. So, but he did use the Zerglings to fight. So either way, though, he won that battle fairly easily. And now Dolphin has no army. He's not even warping in units right now because he's so low on economy, because he was putting every ounce of energy and money into trying to hold that contain, when all he really needed to do was back off and expand, just like Buckshot was just saying. Expanding, if you're 2 base Protoss against 1 base Zerg, you're winning that game, unless you royally mess up somehow and let the Zergling find you out of position or something. And a second Forge right now is definitely not the answer to your problems. Basically, Dolphin's in a lot of trouble right now, but it's mostly because of an economic disadvantage. He just needed to expand when he had the advantage there.
Now, so a lot of players, they always, I feel like a lot of players, they just need to change their mindsets on how to play the game. Here's the Nidus network. I'm guessing that's where all the Roaches went. I was looking around. The probe does scout this, and here comes the probes trying to kill a Nidus network. Not a bad idea. I mean, if your units aren't in position, Nidus networks don't have a lot of health. And, he actually kills it before any Roaches gets out. Use your probes to kill Nidus networks, apparently. This cannon not actually in range of the Nidus network. Now, what I was saying before, though, is a lot of players, I feel like we got another one building somewhere. Oh, where is it? It's in the exact same spot. The Zealots took it out. I feel like a lot of players just need to change their mindset on how to play the game and what triggers the next move. He blocked the expansion with a pylon, forcing a spawning pool. And then he used Zealots to fight Zerglings, which is smart, because Zealots do beat Zerglings. And then he forced a second cancel, or a first cancel, on the hatchery. and force the Zerg player to one base. In your mind, that should then trigger you saying, okay, it's a one base Zerg now. This is the best opportunity to expand. I have an army advantage. I can gain an economic advantage now and a tech advantage, which are the 3 pillars of StarCraft, is economy, army, and tech. So finding out how the game is developing and then reacting accordingly, that is how you become a better StarCraft player.
So we have the red Zerg player busting down these rocks. One thing he could do to speed this up is move the roaches closer. This happens a lot with units with a shorter range, like roaches only having 3 range. Basically, they block each other off. 4 range, sorry. Used to be 3. Anyway, they block each other off, and they box each other out from being able to shoot things like that. Just highlight all the roaches, move them as close to the rocks as you can, then have them attack. You'll have twice as many roaches, if not more, hitting the rocks. You'll get those down a lot faster. And it's not a huge deal, but if you're going for a timing push before DoOneFin can get anything going here, I mean, that's a big deal. Taking half as much time to break down these rocks would actually speed up this win a lot faster, and catching DoOneFin even further off guard without nearly as many units as he's going to have.
Now, DoOneFin has been fighting roaches this whole game, and most likely that's what he's going to keep fighting. And he's been making zealots, sentries, and an observer. Where some decent force fields there, blocking. Use the sentries to fight. That's what I'm talking about. Force fields right there. And he's been fighting roaches this whole time, and he has 0 stalkers and 0 immortals. Here come the stalkers now. No force fields on that time. Guardian Shield does not work on melee units. Just a heads up. And 2 Guardian Shields does not do anything either.
They don't stack.
Guardian Shield does not stack. And by that, they do not stack on each other. So he's been fighting roaches this whole game. And he should have put all that money of zealots into stalkers, sentries, and immortals. Sentries to get a block. Stalkers to fight the roaches, and immortals to fight the roaches. Zerglings usually run in first. You can force field the Zerglings and separate them from the roaches and fight the Zerglings first, and then force field the roaches into 2 with enough sentries. So at the end here, it came down to basic unit counters against Zerg. And even though, I mean, yeah, he's pulling his probes, but I mean, this isn't a whole lot of roaches. If he had all stalkers, 2 immortals, 1 immortal, an immortal, like 2 shots of roach, not actually, but look at all these roaches on low health right here. You focus fire an immortal against these roaches, 4 dead roaches easily.
Yeah, focus firing is a big deal when you see injured roaches like that. That's one good thing to do, is play with the health bars on. You can find that in your options, menu options gameplay. You go down to gameplay and you can turn health bars always on. That makes a big difference. It lets you focus fire things a lot easier. On top of that, you know, you might hear people say, well, I felt like he was coming in any minute. I didn't want to spend time getting an immortal. I'd rather have my 3 zealots. But 1 immortal against roaches is 10 times better than 3 zealots, because roaches with speed upgrade, even in not on creep, they can step shoot zealots all day long. Zealot's going to do 0 damage against roaches if the roaches are microed. And even if they're not microed and they sit there taking the hits, the Immortal's doing way more damage. Immortal does so much damage against armored units, which roaches are. And they can, you know, you get a couple Immortals out and you can be one-shotting roaches. And that makes a huge deal. It's actually a 3-shot, but if you get 3 Immortals out, you're one-shotting. So, I mean, that's a big deal, being able to one-shot roaches if you can get 3 Immortals out in time.
Now, I just want to go back really quick here. I want to see how much he spent. He has 5 sentries, 4 zealots, and now, I mean, his Robo Bay was a little delayed, so that probably was. He got an Observer and then warped in 4 more zealots right there. So this could have been a round of Stalkers and an Immortal. And Protoss, you have your Chrono Boost. Immortals take about 1 to 1.5, almost about 1.5 to 2 Chrono Boost to get out, but 1 Chrono Boost on an Immortal, and it's almost there. It's almost out. And with Force Fields, you hold on long enough. There's a cannon up front. An Immortal would have been out here in time, possibly a second one. But instead of having all these Zealots, having Stalkers, Immortals, and Sentries, he would have been in a much better position. So this has been StarCraft 2 EDU. Send us your replays, and we will cast them.
Thanks.